Marcus Rashford once bagged 30 goals in a single season, and still, people were out here saying he's as useful as a bin without wheels. Seriously, what more do you want from him? Score goals, cook dinner for the squad, and hand out school meals. Oh wait, he already did that last part. But here's where it gets interesting. With Rashford, it's never just been about football. The criticism feels heavier, harsher, like people are waiting in line to take a swing at him. Now, don't get me wrong, if a player has a shocker, call it out. That's part of the game, but with Rashford, it's like every single thing, his form, his lifestyle, even what car he's driving, becomes a headline. Think back to when he first broke through. It felt like the whole football world was waiting for the moment he slipped, and whenever he did, even slightly, the noise was deafening. You've noticed it, right? Some players get patience, Rashford gets piled on. Now let's rewind to 2019, Champions League night. Manchester United are hanging by a thread against PSG last minute. Penalty, and who's stepping up? A 21-year-old Rashford, the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he smashes it home, cool as ice, knocks PSG out. That was the night he was crowned United's golden boy. The future looked massive, but fast forward to today, and it feels like a different player. The fearless runs? Gone. The confidence? Shaky. Some games, he looks invisible. One week he's scoring in a final, the next he's sitting on the bench for breaking club rules. So, what's really going on? Injuries, burnout, the pressure of being the guy at United, or is it something deeper? That's the story we're digging into, the rise, the slump, and maybe the redemption of Marcus Rashford at Barcelona. And if you're into these football journeys, make sure you stick around, because this one's about to get interesting. 2021, the Euros, England in the final, penalties decide it all. And yeah, Rashford steps up and misses. Within hours, though, it goes way beyond football. Rashford posts, "At least 70 racial slurs on my social accounts counted so far. For those working to make me feel any worse than I already do, good luck trying." And 70, let that sink in. That's not just criticism, that's an attack. And the craziest part? This is the same guy who literally forced the UK government to feed school kids during lockdown, the same guy who stood up for people who had no voice, but the second England lost, he became the punching bag. Make that make sense. Fast forward to last season, Rashford's form drops, no denying it, but the way people talk about him, absolutely wild. He even floated the idea of maybe leaving, maybe Barcelona, a fresh start. And suddenly the media acted like he torched Old Trafford. Teddy Sheringham even came out saying Rashford's disrespecting Manchester United. Disrespect? Really? That's where we're at now? Now let's compare. When Harry Kane left Spurs, everyone said, fair play, he deserves trophies. But Rashford, Manchester-born, United through and through, just mentions Barça. And suddenly it's, how dare he? That's not just random hate, that's a double standard, and it's been following him his whole career. Think back to 2016. United had an injury crisis, Louis van Gaal's options were thin, and suddenly Marcus Rashford is thrown into the deep end. A teenager, barely known, just a kid. And what does he do? Bags 2 goals on his Europa League debut against Midtjylland. A few days later, another 2 on his Premier League debut against Arsenal of all teams. That's not normal. From that moment, fans thought, we've got our guy. The next one, maybe even the next Ronaldo. He had the speed, the flair, the killer instinct. He wasn't just scoring, he was lighting up games, big goals too. That scoring in a Manchester derby, netting the winner against Liverpool. Before he even turned 20. Fearless. And because of all that, Rashford quickly became more than just a player. He turned into a symbol for the club. He wasn't just wearing the shirt, he was Manchester United. The local lad, the kid from Wythenshawe who made it big. For young kids across England, he wasn't just a footballer, he was an example. Then came that 2019-20 season, his best yet, 22 goals in all competitions, linking up with Marshall and Greenwood, carrying United's attack. It looked like he was finally turning into the world-class forward everyone predicted. But here's where Rashford went to another level, off the pitch. While football stopped during the COVID pandemic, he stepped up. He fought for free school meals for kids who had nothing, challenged the UK government, and won. That wasn't football, that was history. He became a national hero. He even got honored for it. This wasn't just Marcus Rashford, the striker, anymore. This was Marcus Rashford, the role model, the pride of Manchester. But then things changed. The 2020-21 season ended in heartbreak. United lose the Europa League final to Villarreal. And Rashford, he's been playing through injury for months. His shoulder's wrecked, but he keeps pushing, trying to help the team. He still chips in, but you could see it. The spark wasn't the same. Then the Euros happened. England in the final. Rashford takes a penalty against Italy and misses. The backlash, brutal. Within hours, he's not just getting football criticism, he's getting racism, abuse, hate from everywhere. He goes under the knife for surgery, comes back, was deep, but it's like something's missing. He doesn't look the same. And then, enter Erik Ten Hag. The Dutchman shows up in 2022 and suddenly Rashford is back. This is the Rashford fans had been waiting for, 30 goals in a season. Big ones too, the derby winner against City, a crucial strike in the Carabao Cup final. He scoops both the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year and the Players' Player of the Year. For a few months, he looked unstoppable. Christmas to mid-February, that was his golden run. 13 goals in 14 games. Fresh from the World Cup, where he was one of England's top scorers, he looked like a killer in the box. Not just a tricky winger anymore, he was scoring headers, tap-ins, sharp finishes. United fed off that energy, but then, just as quick as it came, it disappeared. Here's the thing about Rashford. His career has never been normal. From the moment he was a teenager, he's lived under the microscope. Every performance judged, every mistake magnified. Most players, they get to grow quietly. Rashford, he grew up under headlines, under criticism, under abuse. Off the pitch, he used that spotlight to create real change. On it, he became harder to figure out. And it didn't help that United were a mess. Managers in, managers out, new tactics every season. Rashford never had the luxury of a system like Pep's at City, where players slot in and thrive. He had to adapt, survive, and sometimes he got lost in it all. Ten Hag, though, tried a different approach, strict. He even benched Rashford once for turning up late to a meeting. What did Rashford do? Came off the bench and scored the winner. Classic response. For a moment, it felt like tough love was the key. That was also the time Ronaldo's messy exit was unfolding. CR7 blows up bridges with his infamous interview, tears into the club on his way out. Rashford, he takes a different path. He says, if I know a situation's already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. I've seen how other players left in the past, and I don't want to be that person. So, what really happened to Marcus Rashford? Here's the thing. Rashford was never allowed to just exist in the gray area. If he smiled, he's not serious. If he looked focused, he's arrogant. If he spoke up, he's got an ego. If he stayed quiet, he doesn't care. No matter what he did, it was wrong. And when your own fans, the people who've literally watched you grow up, start turning on you, that cuts deeper than anything. This guy is Manchester-born, United Academy, debuted at 18, carried the team more than once. He should have been the most protected player in the squad. Instead, he became the most criticized. Yeah, he missed training once. Yeah, he made mistakes, but those were dealt with. They weren't some recurring disaster. Yet the media blew them up like this was the real Rashford. And the good stuff? The millions of kids he helped feed, the campaigns he led, the causes he fought for, people actually twisted that into a negative. He's more focused on PR than football. Imagine that. That contradiction followed him everywhere. Rashford was painted as the polished role model, the local hero. But then you'd also see the stories of him out at night or rumors about leaving the club. Who was the real Rashford? The philanthropist, the ruthless forward, the lost talent. Even at 27, it felt like he didn't know which version of himself he wanted to be. United didn't help. They couldn't push out a local hero, but they also couldn't ignore his dip. Ruben Amorim, the new manager, tried to play it safe. Marcus is a big talent. He just needs to perform. I just want to help him. Diplomatic words. But behind the scenes, the reality was clear. United were ready to move on, and now, Rashford is in Barcelona. Most players earn their move to Barça by hitting outrageous form, forcing the club's hand. Rashford, he got there on reputation, on what he used to be, and that's why it's a gamble. The early signs are there. In preseason, he scored against Daegu FC and showed versatility up front, enough that talk is already swirling about him as a potential number 9. And in his La Liga debut against Mallorca, even in a brief cameo, his composure and positioning drew praise. Barcelona dominated 3-0 despite registration drama. He's settling in too. He's praised Flick, calling him a special coach, and singled out Lamine Yamal as a future Ballon d'Or winner. Lewandowski even lauded Rashford's speed and one-on-one threat, calling his potential pretty huge. But that's not all. Tuchel's already called him back into the squad for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, praising his energy, work rate, and defensive impact during that Villa loan. Rashford is back on the national radar just as he's starting to make his mark at Barça. And he wasn't even Barca's first choice. He wasn't even second. But they still took the risk because if he can rediscover even half of that fire, he's a weapon. The challenge? To prove he still belongs at the very top, that he can still decide Champions League nights. And if you think back, we've seen it before. Remember PSG 2019. He's done it on the biggest stage. That's what Barcelona are banking on. There were flashes of it during his loan at Aston Villa, especially that insane night against PSG in the Champions League quarters. Pace, direct runs, fearless shooting. He looked like the old Rashford again. But consistency? That's always been the question. 1 week unstoppable, the next week invisible. Coaches love him, but the defensive work rate, the half-hearted pressing, that's why the criticism never goes away. Still, he's got admirers. England boss Thomas Tuchel tried to sign him twice, at PSG and Chelsea. Now he's got him back in the national setup, and with a World Cup around the corner, a successful season in Barcelona could put Rashford back on the world stage. And let's be real, he's needed this. For at least 2 years, he hasn't looked happy at United, but Barcelona? That's his dream move. Playing alongside Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, it's a whole new level. Sure, he'll have to fight for a place, but he's good enough to make an impact. This is it, Rashford's big chance. Maybe one he hasn't earned with recent form, but a chance all the same. And this time, he can't afford to waste it. He might just make United regret their decision, the same way Cole Palmer made Manchester City regret everything. Watch it now, and if you enjoyed the story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more football stories, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one.